This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. So as most of you have probably heard by now, the Democrat Party is in a complete panic as states like Texas, Missouri, Ohio, these very Republican states. We're not talking about R+1 states. No, these states are Republican strongholds. They are all planning on redrawing the maps before 2026, which that's a big deal because if Republicans go through with this plan, which it sounds like they're going to, this could net the GOP a bunch of House seats before the 2026 midterms. And if that happens, Republicans would have a good chance of retaining the majority, and not just that, they could actually expand it, which I want to be clear about one thing. I am not saying that's what's going to happen in 2026. A lot of things can happen, but if they go through with this plan, with redistricting in places like Texas, Missouri, Ohio, even Florida, there's a good chance that, yeah, just that alone could stop a blue wave from happening and Republicans could actually expand the majority. And that's why Democrats are in a complete panic. They're losing their minds. They're like, oh shit, we have a problem. Because already, we're in a lot of shit as of now. We have like a 19% approval rating. Nobody likes us. We're getting killed on virtually every metric. Even though Trump is below water by a couple points of the GOP, they're not necessarily competent. But even with that factored in, Democrats are getting killed on every front. Fundraising, voter registration, approval, favorability, everything is looking bad for the Democrat Party. But now you factor in redistricting and you realize that, oh crap, the Democrat Party, they're screwed in the situation. And that's why people like Gavin Newsom in California is panicking. And he is saying right now that they're going to set up a ballot initiative, they're going to write a bill, they're going to call a special election, and they're going to try to gerrymander California even more. That's his plan. That's the Democrat Hail Mary to counter this. They're going to try to push BS in California, in places like Illinois, which we'll get to in a second why they can't do that, but that's their plan. They realize that Republicans, they can gain a bunch of House seats come 2026. So they're saying, screw our platform of the last 10 years of saying, we love democracy, we love fair maps, screw all of that. We now are saying, we want to gerrymander California. I mean, you can't make this up. 5 minutes ago, they were claiming they were the party of democracy. They were the party that wanted to end gerrymandering. All right, 5 minutes ago they were saying that. But now, basically collectively, every single Democrat is saying, no, we don't want fair maps. No, we want to gerrymander California even more. You just can't make this up. I mean, that's the Democrat Party now. And I know both sides gerrymander. I get that. But the difference is, Republicans don't pretend to support fair maps. They're not saying, oh, we are the party of democracy. We want to ban gerrymandering. They don't push that shit. They don't lie and say that. Democrats, meanwhile, for years, they were pushing that BS narrative that they wanted to end gerrymandering. But now they're saying, no, we want even more gerrymandering. But the Democrat Party, they're so delusional, they're so out of touch, they're so desperate, that they don't realize that they have so many problems that more than likely will stop any redistricting efforts from happening in a place like California. For starters, California has a quote-unquote independent commission, which, listen, I can make a whole video on this subject, but that commission in California, it's not independent, it's not fair, it's a pile of shit. I mean, guys, this is the map they came up with in California. Just look at California 20th. Does this look like a fair map to you? Anyone that's not a shill would tell you, yeah, no. Now, I'm not saying that California is the only state that does this. I'm not saying that. But guys, this is not a fair map. It still is a Democrat gerrymander. Not as bad as it could be, I guess. But either way, This commission has a long history of serious allegations, and not just in the last 5 years when it got really bad, but even in 2011, they were getting serious allegations of the Democrat Party messing around with the commission, making shit up, lying to the commission, and this was back in 2011. This was 15 years ago that they were saying this crap. And in 2020 and 2021, they got allegations of these independents and quote-unquote Republicans in the commission. They're not actually independent. They're Democrats. And they have these secret closed-door meetings, and they have a lot of corruption. It's like, really? That's the independent commission in California. It's a shitty system. But the problem for Democrats is they can't change the maps now. As of now, legally, they can't change anything. And that's their biggest problem. In a bunch of these states they control, they have a bunch of these commissions that they effectively control, but they can't do anything else about it. After the map is final, they're screwed. And that's why Gavin Newsom is making this big push to have a special ballot initiative, to write a bill, fight it out in court. The problem is, A, there's not enough time. It's almost August. Yeah, they might get a referendum come 2026, maybe, but before 2026, no. So right now, in California, which they could theoretically gain like 5 or 6 House seats in, which that might be a problem, legally, they can't. And that's their first problem. In a bunch of these states they control, they locked themselves out of it by pushing these commissions, which benefited them basically everywhere. Some states did benefit the GOP, but in a lot of these states, yeah, it helped Democrats out, but the problem is, you can't change the maps. That's why they're trying to push forward a special ballot initiative to say, oh, the commission is actually against democracy, and we should be allowed to gerrymander the state as much as we want to. Yeah, that's what they're pushing. And that's a problem Democrats have in a place like California, and even New York. The same thing's going to happen there. They don't got a supermajority, so theoretically, they can't do shit there either. So that's your 2 big states where they might try to pull something, I guess. But as of now, legally speaking, they're stuck. But that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem, you could argue, and this is already a big enough problem, is the fact that Democrats have gerrymandered every state so badly that you can't gerrymander even more. You just can't. I mean, this is a real report. I think the New York Times reported this. They were saying that, yeah, Democrats, states that Democrats control, like Illinois, they have already gerrymandered Illinois so much that you can't really do much more. You just can't. You are stuck with that map. And already, it's a bad enough map. I mean, look at this. This is one of the most hideous maps I have ever seen. Even a bunch of Democrats will admit that, yeah, this is a gerrymander. But that's their problem. In states like California and New York, legally speaking, they can't change the map. But even in states like Illinois, they have gerrymandered the state so badly, and they've done it so much already, they can't do much more. I mean, look at this. They have a district going from St. Louis to Springfield. They have all these weird districts. It's hideous. But that's the problem. They, A, legally can't change most of these maps, and B, in states like Illinois, they can't do much more. But the scary part is Democrats are so delusional that they really believe that they can actually redraw the maps in a place like even Colorado, which has a commission. I mean, DW Fan on Twitter, which you guys should go follow, he has to explain this 100 times. There's people everywhere saying, oh, Colorado can change their map again. Which, I'm not saying this person says that, but there's a bunch of people that say that Colorado can redraw. No! They have a commission in the Constitution of their state. They can't do shit. They're just stuck at this point. Meanwhile, the Republican Party, they can redraw Texas. They're going to probably redraw Missouri, which we could gain 1 there. Texas, we're going to gain like 5 or 6. Ohio, we may gain 1 or 2, maybe 3, which I don't think it's be 3, but still, that's 3 states that alone could give Republicans a majority. But now we have talks of Florida doing it, which if that happens, yeah, Dems are screwed. Maybe Alabama, Louisiana, maybe Mississippi, maybe they make a big push for that, which it's unlikely, I guess. But yeah, they can gain seats there. Democrats, I don't see a single state right now that they could realistically gain anything in. Maybe they gain 1 or 2 House seats out of nowhere, maybe. But as of now, you have to laugh at this. If Democrats never made this push for these commissions, they would not be in the situation. They screwed themselves over, and now Republicans, for once, grew half of a brain and realized, oh, wait a minute. We can redraw these maps at any time. Now, Democrats, all they can do is watch. Now, they're going to try to make a big push in states like California. I get that, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be possible for the Democrat Party to really gain much in California, even if they redraw the maps. Would they really gain much? Maybe if they go insane, maybe. But best case scenario, all you're doing is counteracting Texas. That's your best case scenario. States like Illinois, you're tapped out in. So what's your plan? If you're the Democrat Party, what do? I honestly don't know. But these people are so delusional that they really believe that they're going to redraw the maps and they're going to have a 70-seat majority come 26. No. And that's the scary part. They really believe this. They really believe that, oh, the maps are going to be redrawn in California. No, it's not. Unless something crazy happens, which I guess is possible, they can't do shit in time. They have to scramble, and maybe by 2028 they can redraw the maps. But at this point, why would you? Why? At that point, you're just screwed. So yeah, a lot could happen the next couple of months, but Republicans are going to gain like 10 to 15 House seats in places like Texas, places like Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, Florida. Democrats, they're either tapped down in places like New Mexico, which no one ever talks about. I mean, New Mexico, it voted for Harris by what, 5 or 6 points? Yet they drew this map. A fair map in New Mexico would have made one safe Republican seat in southern New Mexico, and maybe one that's slightly more competitive. But no, they gerrymandered this state too. They have nothing to gain anywhere unless they have to somehow change the law in every Democrat state within a couple months, which I don't think is possible at this point. And by, say, February or March next year, they have to redraw the maps. Is that possible? Maybe. But right now, it's not looking likely whatsoever. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.